Cottage cheese is great as a snack or to add some fluff to your scrambled eggs. But how do you know if it's good for you? Even if there's fruit included or it's labeled low fat, there are plenty of unhealthy cottage cheese brands on the market. Daisy is a familiar brand to cottage cheese lovers, with its product line offering a variety of flavors to cater to every taste. For those with a sweeter tooth, its cottage cheese with strawberries seems like a great choice, combining high-protein cheese with a sweet, flavorful fruit. All of this flavor comes at a nutritional cost though, with this product delivering a high amount of sodium and added sugar. In every serving of Daisy cottage cheese with strawberries, there's 420 milligrams of sodium and 5 grams of added sugar. Neither of these ingredients are particularly attractive, and the whole picture is made even unhealthier by this product's saturated fat levels. With 3.5 grams of saturated fat, Daisy cottage cheese with strawberries covers 18% of your daily value. This combo of sodium and high fat could potentially pose issues for folks who have high cholesterol. For folks who are lactose intolerant, cheese can be one of the hardest dietary sacrifices to make, so we can understand why people might think that Lactaid's cottage cheese is a godsend. Its 4% milk-fat cottage cheese is 100% lactose-free and promises an easy digestive experience with all of the flavor of a regular product. However, a lot of its taste is bolstered by its 440 milligrams of sodium per serving. This sodium amount makes Lactaid 4% milk-fat cottage cheese one of the saltiest on the market. Furthermore, with its 3 grams of saturated fat, it's also fairly fatty. Its sodium content is good evidence of why you should never assume that a snack is healthy, even if it's often deemed to be.
That's cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese? Like cheese from some cottage?
Cottage cheese is one of those things that people always want in their fridge, but they don't want to have to spend a pretty penny on it. That's where Walmart's Great Value cottage cheese comes in. Its 4% milk-fat small-curd cottage cheese is a reasonably priced, accessible option. The price tag may be appealing, but it's not the healthiest option. With 400 milligrams of sodium per serving, it covers a significant portion of your daily value. It also has 3 grams of saturated fat in its half-cup serving size. The sodium amount is particularly important to note due to its potential effects on blood pressure. Excessive sodium intake can increase the amount of fluids in our blood, which can then in turn increase blood pressure and raise the risk of hypertension-associated diseases. Breakstone has made a name with its dairy products, and it's clearly well aware of its cottage cheese's snackable nature. Strawberry cottage doubles are proof of this, with the company offering snack packs combining cottage cheese and a sugary strawberry topping. However, it's probably no surprise that the sugary topping has a fair amount of sweetener in it. In just a few spoonfuls, you get 4 grams of added sugar.
More sugar, more sugar.
Consuming high amounts of added sugar can have a significant effect on your health, impacting everything from your skin quality to your liver and even to your mood, so it's probably not worth it for a few bites of cottage cheese. Cottage cheese mix-ins are all the rage at the moment, with more and more companies realizing that the combination of sweet, fruity flavors and rich, creamy cottage cheese makes an exciting replacement for fruit yogurt. Depending on the brand you choose, though, you may be getting more than you bargained for. Dairy Pure's cottage cheese blueberry mix-ins has a particularly poor nutritional profile, containing a whopping 480 milligrams of sodium and 11 grams of total sugar per serving. If you're not keeping an eye on the nutritional labels of your food, it can be tricky to know how much sodium you're eating. However, there are a few key signs. Bloating and puffiness can occur as a result of excessive sodium intake due to your body retaining too much fluid, per WebMD. This can also cause a sudden increase in weight. You may also notice that you're using the restroom more than usual, not sleeping normally, or that your stomach is feeling unsettled. One of the biggest concerns around eating cottage cheese is fat intake. Luckily, cottage cheese is just as good when it's low fat, and Westby low-fat cottage cheese is one of the more popular options out there. Unfortunately, the brand has clearly decided that the best way to replace the flavor lost from having a lower fat quantity is by adding salt, and this results in it having a high 450 milligrams of sodium per serving. Salt content in cheese is a perennial problem, whether it's low fat or not. The additive acts both as a flavor enhancer and a preservative, extending its shelf life by preventing bacteria from growing too quickly. It also contributes to cheese's texture, helping the casein bind together more easily. Amazon Fresh has quickly become a major player in the food industry, allowing you to have the basics delivered to your doorstep in no time. Amongst these basics is its low-fat small-curd cottage cheese, but its ingredients list is far from simple. Each serving has a generous 460 milligrams of sodium, covering 20% of your daily value in just a half cup. As well as this cottage cheese has one ingredient in it we'd rather not see: carrageenan. Carrageenan is extracted from red seaweed and is frequently added to foods to thicken and emulsify them, making it the perfect choice to bring cottage cheese mixtures together. Unfortunately, carrageenan has been observed to produce inflammatory effects in humans. There's something about Cabot Creamery's products that just feels comforting. We don't know whether it's the homely logo, simple color scheme, or claim that its food is fresh from Vermont, but at first glance, it looks like an all-natural winner. A closer inspection at the ingredients list for its cottage cheese, however, tells a different story. Each serving has 420 milligrams of sodium, enough to cover 18% of your daily value. Curiously, too, this cottage cheese contains carrageenan. It's curious because carrageenan is usually reserved for low-fat cottage cheese products, where it adds thickness and improves texture. However, Cabot Creamery's cottage cheese still has a generous 2.5 grams of saturated fat. One of the most worrying potential impacts of carrageenan is its effect on the digestive system, and especially on the colon. A review published in Carbohydrate Polymers discussed carrageenan's ability to cause colon inflammation, also known as colitis. This can result in a change in stools, abdominal pain, weight loss, and fatigue, according to the Cleveland Clinic. Pineapple is often paired with cottage cheese, with its tart, sweet taste perfectly offsetting the creamier dairy notes. Dairy giant Kemps is never one to be outdone by competitors, and true to fashion, it offers its own cottage cheese with pineapple product.
Real quick, do you have any cottage cheese?
Who eats cottage cheese?
Okay, it's how I maintain my figure.
However, this cottage cheese contains 400 milligrams of sodium and 3 grams of added sugar per serving, both covering significant proportions of your daily value. Kemps cottage cheese with pineapple also has a slew of additional ingredients, like cornstarch, guar and carob bean gum, and carrageenan. Although its sugar content is pretty small compared to some other cottage cheeses out there, it's still important to take note of. It's also important to think about how you can cut down on sugar in your diet more generally by opting for snack options that don't have added sugar and consuming fewer sugary drinks. Getting used to reading nutritional labels can be a crucial first step in controlling added sugar intake. Cottage cheese is meant to be simple, so why do all these manufacturers keep putting so much salt in them? Erickson is a particular culprit of this, with its old-fashioned cottage cheese containing 460 milligrams of sodium. This makes it one of the saltier options available today and covers 20% of your daily value. To put into perspective how salty that is, a serving of Fasioned 2% Milkfat plain Greek yogurt contains just 55 milligrams of sodium. While the two products aren't exactly the same, they both offer a smooth creaminess and mountains of protein. It's just that you'll get way more salt with one than the other. Unfortunately, excessive salt consumption is a widespread issue. Almost every population across the world eats too much salt, and much of the sodium comes from processed foods like cottage cheese. Crucially, we do need some sodium in our diets. The nutrient helps keep our nerves and cells functioning properly. However, the likelihood of not getting enough sodium is very low, and so instead, focus on consuming less whenever possible. It's fair to say that cottage cheese and peach is a pretty delicious combo. Knudsen knows this fact well, and its peach-flavored cottage cheese doubles is a serious crowd pleaser. However, you get a fair amount of sugar in a small serving size if you opt for this after-dinner treat, with 4 grams of added sugar in every portion. At 390 milligrams of sodium, this isn't the saltiest option out there, but its sodium content is still notable and contributes pretty significantly to your overall recommended daily value of 2,300 milligrams. Both sodium and sugar intake can affect hypertension, but while most people are pretty aware of sodium's effect, fewer folks are aware of how sugar impacts it. Sugar can reduce the amount of nitric oxide in your blood, which can then narrow your blood vessels and lead to higher blood pressure. Consuming added sugar can also make you more sensitive to the impact of sodium on your blood pressure, with the two going hand in hand to promote hypertension. While this cottage cheese product has relatively small amounts of both nutrients, over time, things can add up.
Maybe I'll get a son who will finish his cottage cheese.
Cottage cheese with pineapple, a combination that can be relied on to deliver flavor and to supply you with a lot of sugar in one go. Friendship Dairies cottage cheese with pineapple is no exception. This cottage cheese may be pleasingly low in sodium, containing just 300 milligrams, but it also has a high 15 grams of total sugars per serving. Although some of these sugars will naturally come from the pineapple that's included in the recipe, much of it will likely come from the sugar listed on the ingredients list. Although added sugar is the type we need to keep an eye on most closely, it's important to consider the amount of total sugar we eat as well. The more sugar we eat, the harder our pancreas has to work, which can eventually create a strain and affect its ability to produce insulin. This can increase the likelihood of developing insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes.